Oscar's Childhood, Episode 17. Welcome, Carrot's here. Well, Mena has returned from her visit to Barnacle Bay. 3 toddlers and 2 teens have now returned to their homes, and we're going to concentrate, first of all, in this video, in cleaning up the mess left over from the meteor that struck the boarding school and the garden across the street. Another priority is going to be aging up a toddler or 2, become a child, and getting some of their wishes granted so that we can advance some lifetime happiness points. There's no more toddlers to be trained. We still have toddlers here, but they've all completed their training. For this lot of toddlers anyway, now we can work with the young adults, teens and children that are left here. Looks like Alison still hasn't had a shower after her brush with the meteor. She's still all singed. There's a lot of piles of scrap there to be picked up. I don't think I'll ever be able to work out what it was that was destroyed. It's possibly tables and chairs and easels and things like that. I'll probably need to go back to earlier videos and just see what was there and what I can work out to replace. Or I might just leave it not replaced, because we do have lots of terrible lag issues with this, indicating there's way too much stuff on the lot. I think I'll get rid of most of those plants right at the front too, because I think they're very high poly and they're custom content, and I suspect they may be contributing significantly to lag. They're by Saurus. Little Gator still must be in his werewolf form. He's running around the place, tearing up the furniture. I think he must have got turned into his werewolf form in the night of the full moon. Is that Alison telling him to stop? It looks as though he stopped because little Alison told him to, and he looked up at her quite defiantly, I thought. But then Mena turned up and picked him up, and I think maybe he was sitting up waiting to get picked up. Erica is still in her werewolf form from last night when it was the full moon, and that's why I think little Gator might still be in some sort of werewolf state as well. I was worried that street art that's on the floors might have been lost because of the meteor attack, but it all seems to still be there, so I'm relieved about that and happy too. A couple of the previous occupants of the boarding school were working on the street art skill. I'll have to get Alison to have a shower. She looks so funny in her singed look from being caught up in the meteor explosion earlier the previous day. And I think it's time for Erica to resume her human form. I wonder if it hurts when she does that. Little Alison's up the end there. She's mopping hard. It's going to be a lot of mopping required to get all this ashes or whatever it is off their floors. We'll let Erica concentrate on picking up the scrap for the moment, but she'll be mopping shortly as well. And those little gnomes, they're sitting on a desk that needs replacing. And that pink flamingo in the foreground, I'd love it to be stood up. Unfortunately, I'm sure somebody keeps coming and kicking it over. So that leads me to decide, do I just get rid of it or learn to cope with it being lying on its side all the time? Here comes Wilhelmina. Alison's given up for the moment. She's chatting with her doll. I hope some of these dolls animate. I think that's fun when they turn real. Not many of them do. Kathleen and Wilhelmina have arrived. Add them to the workforce. Okay, girls, get to work mopping. There's Faith McDuff. She's going to age up to young adult in a few days without my assistance. If I decide to give her a cake, I probably will. Oops, there goes a gnome. But Faith McDuff, she needs to get some skills. She's almost skill-less. She's got a few very low-level skills. There's little Gator tearing the place apart. I think the full moon changed him because he never tore anything apart before, and then all of a sudden he's right into his werewolfness. Hopefully Erica can control him a little. Yes, inside there's plenty of scraps to collect, and we're going to have to start replacing all of those items that have been trashed, turned into, there's the desk, or something on the desk, I think. I think I replaced the desk earlier. Just got to work out what used to be there and try to replace it if possible. I'm only guessing here because I've looked through all of my old screenshots and videos as far as I can manage, and I can't find anything to tell me what was underneath those windows. But you see that long chair, the banana chair in the background underneath the window at the end of the room? That comes in 3 colours, and I strongly suspect I would have put the other 2 colours of that chair. So that's what I'm going to do underneath the windows where all those Sims are standing at the moment. Well, they've achieved a lot of mopping. There's a whole lot of floor being cleared there now. I really hope those street art things that are on the floor stay. There was a couple of Sims that have been through the boarding school that have done them. I know the ones at the Barnacle Bay boarding school were done by Imogen. She was the ghost who had a ghost baby with Harry Flower. But I don't know. I think it might have been Shirley who was working on the street art in this boarding school. She was also in the Barnacle Bay boarding school. I had to leave the Barnacle Bay boarding school because of the lag that I had there. I think I'm going to have to pay more attention and be less ambitious when I am making my boarding schools in future, so that I can play the game without lag. There's so much that needs replacing, and as far as I can tell, there's no insurance available. They just have to cop the cost. Hopefully they're collecting all this scrap, and the bits of the meteor that landed and were collected will end up paying for it all. But I didn't sell anything yet because they've got so much money that the game just banks it somewhere offshore and you lose it. It just can't record any more money than they've already got. So there's no real worry about the cost of replacing things, because I'll wait till everything's replaced before I sell those meteors and space rocks that crashed. There's one of those end tables that got completely destroyed, but on the middle one, which is just behind where Eric is standing, there was a massive bunch of absolutely gorgeous flowers that I adore. And they're really hard to find in buy mode, and they're custom content. They were made by Sim Picasso. It took me about half an hour of searching to find them, but I will replace them, and you'll see what I mean eventually, because it took quite a while before I did find them. Even that mirror at the end there that one of the children got from visiting the theatre on a school excursion, even that had to get replaced. Yes, and here's the next level up that also got hit. I've got Eric up there fixing it. I don't know what was turned to scrap there. Those cameras are all had it. They've all got to be removed. I'm not going to replace them. I'll just delete them. I'm not going to worry about trying to find out what got ruined there or destroyed. I'll probably replace those chairs that got destroyed around the table, and I'll replace the table. It's got a gnome sitting on it at the moment. It's probably guarding the scrap. I think it's the gnome of sculpting. It's replacing the table. And the radio station. We haven't used that yet. I'm sure somebody will need it one day. If it had been demolished, I wouldn't have replaced it. Now that's a hopscotch court that's all grey there. I ended up replacing it because I thought it was ruined, but it wasn't. It was just in a shady spot. I'm going to have to put lights upstairs, I think. Oh, Alison's in the way, singing with her doll. Little Mara's doing a good job, though. It's funny how that newspaper didn't get singed. Or maybe it's just been delivered. That front door needs replacing. Good on you, Alison. See, she's had her shower now. She's the one who was singed. Little Alison. One with the green plum bob above her head. Remember the little Sim that was walking around earlier with all singed? That was her. I think she broke the all-in-one bathroom when she did it too. There's Erica mopping inside. And the phone's ringing. Lucky we replaced it. Erica was asleep. This is a bit later. Erica was sleeping and she autonomously climbed out of bed so slowly, just like somebody being woken up by the phone ringing and dragging themselves out of bed. Now she's going to go back to bed. It was a wrong number. Now, I found some of the teens. I wondered where they'd hidden themselves. They've been avoiding cleaning up. That's Cricket Irwin. This is over at the garden. She's having a little chat with Bruce. They're not very happy with each other, are they? I think I'm going to get them to do a bit more use of that tractor, but not to harvest. So there's Eric holding his little sister, Susanna, while Kathleen asks him for something. I don't know what. Probably a bedtime story. He seems to be the one that they all want to have them read bedtime stories to them. We're going to age up little Susanna shortly too. She's been a toddler in the boarding school for two groups of toddlers, so I think it's time we aged her up. So I'm not bringing any more toddlers here until these lot have all gone. Oh yeah, that's little Benito Goodfellow from Moonlight Falls, and his sister Fawn is in the other playpen. They'll be going home shortly. That's going to be in this episode as well. And the little redhead in the end playpen, that would be little Francesco Winterbottom, the toddler son of Bruce and Carly, to clean up all those books and put them in the bookcase, because there will be more toddlers in this boarding school eventually, but just not for the foreseeable future. There's plenty of toddlers around the 13 or so worlds to be trained. I'll send whoever is in charge of the boarding school at that time off to get them. Put Susanna back in the playpen, give her a chance to get some of her charisma or logic skill built up before she ages up to a child. If it seems a bit jerky in places, it's because of the lag. I've had to cut out lag, and when it's been lagging for a few minutes, it just jumps ahead when it stops. When the lag stops, it doesn't smoothly continue on the animation, which is a little bit annoying, but not as annoying as having to sit there for 5 or 10 minutes. Well, I don't sit there for 5 or 10 minutes. I get up and leave it, go and do some singing practice or something. So this is the upstairs room, which has been hit. The veranda at the front has been hit by the meteor, but this is the level that's got the extra fridge, and I put it there so the children who were using the toy ovens weren't constantly running downstairs and then back up to their ovens to put their cooking away in the fridge. So Oscar's getting a story read to him by his big friend Eric. Eric's got a long time before he ages up to young adult, because he only became a teen just as Oscar was arriving at the boarding school, which upset me a bit because I was hoping to get Oscar and Eric to play a lot together as children. So here we are travelling to Moonlight Falls to return Benito and Fawn to their home. And their lag and crashing happened here, had all sorts of trouble. But I got a message that Flora Goodfellow was about to die soon, so I thought I'd better send the toddlers home quickly in the hope that they'd get to see their grandmother one last time. And she looked quite healthy and happy there. She's holding little Fawn. I read on the Sims wiki that Fawn was adopted, but Benito isn't in the Sims wiki, so I suspect he must have been born later on. This house has only got 2 bedrooms, and I'm assuming that Grandma Flora is in one, and the other room is set up as a nursery with only 1 cot in it. So I adjusted the house to suit the size of the family, and then I realised that the parents were actually sleeping in the fairy house in the backyard. So the parents didn't really need a bedroom in their house, but they got one so they can use if they want to. They probably never will. I added space onto the back of the house. I'll show you that shortly. I couldn't get video of it. I'll just have to show you screenshots. So that's their mother, Dahlia Goodfellow. Now Fawn had a few days to go before she was due to age up automatically, and I decided that I would give her a cake here before I moved on. This is partly because I didn't want to have 2 toddlers with a big difference in their ages in the house, and they've both done their toddler skills, and the next thing they will do at the boarding school will be child skills. And while I'm not playing this world, I've got my mods set up. Sims in the world don't age. So I decided I'd give her a cake, and there is her cake. I added a table and a few lights to their backyard, and here comes Flora with little Fawn in her arms to blow out the candles. I put a ring light above them, from the Bug, one of those ceiling lights that are invisible. That's why it suddenly got this bright light there. I thought it'd be better if you could see what's going on rather than have them doing all of this in the dark. And I didn't want to hang around here until morning because I need to get Mena back to Chocolate Cake Island to get on with the game. There it is. The candles have been blown out, and this is where the problems began. There she is on the floor, and she didn't age up. So I reset her and tried again, and she still didn't age up. So I reset the lot and tried again, and this time she did age up. There's little Fawn in her child form. I didn't take her into stylist to give her new hair and clothes. I'll do that if I ever play her again. So I'll show you through the house now. Originally on the bottom floor there was a nursery set up. I changed it into a single bedroom with Grandma Flora in mind. Thought she might like to have that room to herself. And upstairs, where I've got the toy room now, that was another bedroom with a double bed in it, and I assume that Grandma Flora was living in that room. So I added that extra room that you can see at the top of the screen and made it into an extra bedroom for the parents. The rest of the new area I set up as a combined nursery and bedroom for children. I thought I'll put 2 beds in there, one for Fawn, who's now a child, and the other one for Benito when he does age up to child. But in the meantime, he'll need a cot. So I put a cot in there as well. And once I'd fixed up their house to my satisfaction, I went back to the boarding school to get Mena. Discovered she'd been abducted by aliens again. And as soon as she got returned from her abduction, I sent her home to Chocolate Cake Island. And here she is. Mena's now travelling back to Chocolate Cake Island. And there at Chocolate Cake Island, it's in the middle of the day, and Wilhelmina is playing in the treehouse. Still haven't got railings all around the various verandas of the boarding school. I took out the wrought iron railings just in case they were causing lag. I don't know if they were or not. I didn't notice any difference after I got rid of them. Now, there's some dead plants over in the garden, and Bruce has now got to the point, he has a green thumb, and he's now got to above level 5 in gardening, so he can revive dead plants. And there's a lot of plants here that have died from neglect, as well as the death flower plants that die once they're harvested. And I started getting Bruce to revive the dead plants, and then I thought, no, I'm trying to get rid of this garden. So after he had a go at reviving a couple of plants, I stopped him from doing that and told him to dispose of dead plants instead. And I sent other Sims across, some of them to dispose of the dead plants and others to tend the garden. Bruce is up to level 10 in gardening now, so he doesn't need to do any more gardening, and I'll probably not tell him to come over to the garden anymore. I'll keep the garden until everybody who's 18 or above in age has got their gardening skill up to at least level 7. Although once they get to level 7, I'm tending to leave them there until they've got to level 10. Because once they get to level 10, then they can order and plant the Omni plant. They can order Omni plant seed through the mail and plant it and grow the Omni plant, which I really never bother with anyway. So it was bugged for so many years it didn't work, and I just stopped using it. The thing with the Omni plant, if you haven't come across it before, is you can feed it anything that you like and it will grow them. So if you Sims need money, plant an Omni plant and feed it valuable objects, and it will just grow those valuable objects. So you feed it whatever you're short of and want more of, and it will grow them for you in abundance. That's another thing about getting to revive plants. They cry. Waste a lot of time. It looks like Cricket Irwin coming over to do a bit of gardening. Or is she just sneaking off to the back there where she can go upstairs and paint a picture? So while we've got Bruce in the garden, we've got Oscar and some of his little friends fishing. I'm getting these children to work on their fishing skill, so when they become teens, they can concentrate on doing things that they can't do as children. I've got some of them on each side of that ruined jetty. The spawners in the ocean here are slightly differently positioned than the spawners in Cake Island. But it doesn't matter, they can still fish there. There are still some spawners here, and they're catching a few fish. There's a sea sludge you can see in the ocean there, just underwater. There's Oscar surrounded by the two little cousins, Alison and Kathleen. This is the only beach in the whole world. There's just a little promontory sticking out in the ocean. The other two girls fishing are Mara Nix and Wilhelmina Wolf. I thought this was a pretty picture. They found each other in a very pretty part of the garden, having a tender moment together. They don't get many of them. She's blowing him a kiss. They're married. They're the parents of Francesco, who's a toddler upstairs. They've been in Moonlight Falls in a house for a long time. I've hardly played them at all. Carly's got the Master Romancer lifetime wish. She wants to woohoo with 5 different Sims in 5 different places, but she's not doing very well with it. She met up with Bruce and she seems to have decided to stick with him. And she headed over there to the chook house, going to pick up a chicken. This bit took me forever to get some video of it because it just froze and froze. But I got a little bit of video to show you of her playing with the chickens. Red and Mithralin at the front there watering the garden. It takes them so long to water the garden. I'm going to use the tractor for that shortly, and from then on when I tell them to tend the garden they won't need to water or fertilise, because I'll use the tractor for watering and fertilising. Sun's getting low in the sky. They're all still there fishing. I hope they've advanced their fishing skills considerably. That's Wilhelmina and Mara Nix. They're both from Moonlight Falls. They're both townie Sims, and these 3 are all my Sims. Although the 2 little girls were born in game. Their grandmother is Patience. It's Erica fixing things. She's doing a lot of repairs and upgrades around the house. She is working on her handiness skill. Oscar's microwaving something. I've got a mod in that encourages them to use the microwave. I keep thinking I might take it out. It seems to cause more problems than anything else because they queue up for it. I've had a few issues with it. It's just the way Sims behave. Sims being Sims. It's not that the mod's broken or anything. It's just the Sims get themselves tied in knots sometimes when there's a few of them all decide deciding to use the microwave at the same time. They don't always use it. Some households, I find, they all want to use it every time they go to the fridge, and other households, they don't always use it. And it's when they don't always use it that it works beautifully. But when everybody in the household decides they have to use it every single time they go to the fridge, that's when I get a problem. So Erica just filled up the gumball machine. I guess fishing must have been a very hungry work, but they've been at it all day, so I suppose it's about time they had something to eat. There's plenty of tables. I don't think I'll ever have enough Sims to fill up all those tables. The boarding school won't cope with them. So there's Susanna crying. She's hungry. And little Gator wanting to get picked. Oh, he's getting his bottle. And Francesco in the background screaming as well. I think I'll age little Susanna up in a minute. She's still got quite a way to go before the game would age her up automatically. Unlike little Gator, I think he's got about 2 days to go before the game is likely to age him up automatically. So there's going to be a bit of toddler aging up here shortly. And Francesco's got a really long time to go before the game would age him up, because when he was born and he became a toddler, I haven't really played in Moonlight Falls, and they don't age in a world that I'm not playing in. So he's been around for a long time, real life years, but only as either a baby or a toddler. So I'm going to age him up later as well, but not in this episode. Here we go, Susanna's birthday. This is Eric's little sister. Her mother is Lorna McCain from Dragon Valley. She's a townie. Her father's Percy Coffey, who is the son of Gabias and Patience. So she's another cousin of Kathleen and Alison, and so is Eric, of course, because he has the exact same parents as his little sister, Susanna. Here's Eric coming down the steps for his little sister's birthday. I'm going to give him a new wardrobe shortly, because I haven't dressed him yet. He's still in the clothes he got when he aged up. It's always so noisy when you've got a big household and there's a birthday cake. You get to see most of the Sims in the household all together. It doesn't happen very often when you've got as big a house as this one is, with an attractive garden across the street. I'm just tired of Susanna being a toddler, and most of the episodes of this game in the last few episodes have been all about toddlers, and I think it's time we moved on and had some work done with teens and children and the young adults. Let's get her an interesting trait. Cat person. Don't use that one often. It's one I usually avoid. So that for me, that's an interesting trait at this point. Let's see what animations it introduces to the game. They're not all going to get a piece of cake, but I'm beyond worrying about that. The ones who get the cake, we'll see them over there sitting eating the cake, and the rest will just hover and wander off. That's Cricket Irwin, got her piece of cake. Let's not worry about who's going to... Oh look, there's a broken sink. I'm not going to worry about who's going to get the cake. You can see little Susanna has inherited her mother's pointy ears. That hair shows it off. I think I'll let her keep that hair, but I will give her different clothes when I take her into stylist later on. So Bruce and Carly and Alison and Eric. I'm glad Eric got a piece of his little sister's birthday cake. And Faith McDuff. I've always got to remember not to call her Faith McDuck. Wilhelmina Wolf. She's going to be aging up soon too. She's only got a few days to go before she'll be a teen. So whether I give her a cake or just let the game happen naturally, she will be aging up very soon. Oscar's got a long way to go, but he will get cake when I'm ready. Probably in another 2 or 3 episodes from now. There's a few I want to age up before I'll age up Oscar. I want to give him a chance to play with all the toddlers that are aging up the children first. Hello, the alien's been visiting again. Let's have a look and see what he looks like inside his cab. To pause the game and zoom right in. Yeah, there he is. And off he goes. I think they must be attracted to all these space rocks I've got and meteors and things I've got inside the house. So late at night, early in the morning or whatever, there's little Susanna. She decided she just couldn't wait. Now that, she's a witch. She inherited that from her grandfather, Gabias, and her father, Percy. They're all witches. And so is Eric. And so she wanted to go flying on her broom in the witches' arena. And down she goes on her training wheels. Come on, a little bit further down. There she goes. She's on the ground. She's had her first flight in her own little broom. I rarely use that little top. I think I'll let her keep that, but I'll give her something else to wear underneath. Oh, she's going to use the spring rider as well. This is just her doing her autonomous thing. I'm surprised that so many of the spring riders survived the meteor stroke. I didn't replace any of them. I'm actually thinking of removing a few because something's causing the lag and there's a lot of spring riders around. Don't usually have more than one sim at a time using them, but some of them are animated, so it might cause a bit of lag when there's so much going on. Off she gets. I think it's time she had a bit of a sleep. She's thinking about her birthday. She walks around the corner and bumps into a whole mob of other Sims who are up late, having a conversation on the veranda. Faith McDuff, Carrie and Erica Wolf. I bet she's not going to miss the opportunity to ask somebody for a bedtime story either. I think this will be at the end of the video. So I do hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video, which will be more Sims aging up to child, and as more and more of them age up to child, we'll see more of Oscar, and we'll also see more of Faith McDuff, because she's about to age up automatically in very few days as well. I'm actually thinking of keeping her in the household once she has aged to young adult, to give her some more skills than she's going to have time to get as a teen. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye for now, and happy simming.